that Evan Ingram left town without a contract from the Denver Broncos. And you shared a little detail with us that you have heard through the grapevine that Mike Gesicki was actually number one on their potential free agent board.
Indeed, Zach. They wanted Mike Gesicki, who was my former teammate with the Miami Dolphins. Long, rangy, looks like a basketball player that can play football, athletic, can get the separation, some stretch. And the Cincinnati Bengals had other thoughts for Mike Gesicki because they decided to bring him back and offer him $25 million for 3 years. And so I believe that the Denver Broncos really did want to go the Mike Gesicki route, and it just didn't happen.
And then you go for option number 2, Evan Ingram, who is here in Denver, was apparently here for a couple days. We heard that they took him out for a steak dinner.
Wine and dined him.
Comes time to truly talk turkey.
Yeah.
And it doesn't get done.
Yeah, I mean, look, they probably went there, and we talked about it yesterday. They wine and dined him. He went back to the facility, did the work, the body work for the MRIs to make sure that his body is okay. Then you sit there and you watch film, probably with Sean Payton and the tight ends coach. You watch film, you get that vision of yourself in an orange and blue jersey, and maybe, just maybe, you talk to Bo Nix, if Bo Nix is in the building, Zach. You kind of find out where you stand with things, and you let the dads talk. And when I mean the dads, the agent and the general manager, and they discuss what a player's pretty much worth. And my guessing is they didn't get something done. Evan Ingram decides to leave the building, get back on the plane, either go home or somewhere else because he's still looking for a job.
Right.
And that sucks for the Denver Broncos. We need a tight end in the building. We need a joker tight end. We always talk about a joker. Well, Evan Ingram would have been that joker for us for right now. He would have been able to stretch the field. He has a big body. All right, so when you talk about a big body tight end, he helps you in the red zone. He helps you score touchdowns in the red zone. He helps you when it's third and short, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 5. You're able to dump down, and the tight end can do the rest. Break a couple tackles, get you the first down, or even more. Yards after contact. That's what you're looking for if you're a really good tight end. That was Evan Ingram. So we need him. We need him to come back if he's willing to. I don't know if he's willing to or not, but we need a tight end in the building, and Evan Ingram would have been able to fit that mold, and it would have helped Bo Nix out, Zach.
Well, it's not the end of the road for Evan Ingram and the Broncos. You can always circle back, but I would
Money
say
talks.
There's no doubt. I would say, though, the mere fact that he left Denver without a deal, this is the most unscientific number ever that I'm going to give you, but I would say it's 25% less likely that a contract gets done when that guy leaves.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Like, literally, you had a guy in the building for 2 days. You don't get anything done? How should a player feel about that? It's like, hey, I'm sitting here. You're making me feel good. You're making me feel welcomed. But then when it's time to get a contract done and I think, okay, you're going to do something good for me,
yeah,
it doesn't happen. It happened to me, honestly, with the Colts. I want to say it's like I'm sitting there after the workout, and I had a great workout, and I'm sitting in the dining room waiting for my agent to get done talking about the contract and seeing what's going to happen. And I ended up getting something done with the Colts, but it wasn't what we wanted. I wanted some more guaranteed money. They weren't willing to give it to me because of my wrist. They used my wrist against me, saying it's a liability. It has a bunch of scar tissue and damage in there, and we're not willing to take care of it if something happens to it. So it's either you can move on or you can play just knowing that we're not going to give you some guaranteed money because of your wrist. So I decided to stay because it's like, hey, this is probably my last chance to do something with the Colts, and might as well make the best of it.
Yeah.
And bet on myself again. That's all I've ever done my whole life.
Yep.
Is to bet on myself.
Yep.
In the case with someone like Evan Ingram that's waiting in the food chow hall, he probably has other suitors that want him.
Right.
So it's like, why are you wasting my time if you're not going to get the contract done that we want done? Obviously, they weren't able to get something done, and that's why Evan Ingram decided to leave, get back on the plane, and fly elsewhere.
Well, another team that is, if you just type in, Evan Ingram Chargers, you'll see, speculation and tied together that, hey, this could be a potential landing spot, and that would stink because that's their in division, and it's the two-pronged nature of that. You miss out on a potential tight end when you literally don't have one to truly speak of, And then if a division rival who beat you already twice this year ends up getting him, that would be the vinegar in the wound that already exists.
Do you really want Justin Herbert to get more weapons?
Of course not.
You have Najee Harris that decided to sign with the Chargers, Zach. And if, say, I don't know if it's going to be Evan Ingram, but say the Chargers decide to go out there and get another tight end that can help them out, and we don't.
Yeah.
It puts the Chargers over us again. They're in our division. We need weapons for Bo Nix. This is what it's all about, making sure Bo is comfortable, making sure that Bo has opportunities and options other than just Cortland Sutton and Bailey. If you bring a tight end who can stretch the field, who can get you the dirty yards, it opens the playbook up for Bo Nix. It opens the playbook up for someone like Cortland Sutton to have one-on-one options or Bailey to have one-on-one options. We need a tight end in this building. Last year, we had Adam Trotman. That's not going to cut it this year. Adam Trotman had 13 receptions for almost 300 yards and played 17 games.
13 catches in a whole season is crazy.
2 touchdowns, so that's great. 2 touchdowns.
So one per half of the season. I mean, that's just the fact that the starting tight end for the Broncos in 2025 caught 13 passes all year is wild.
And we were still able to get to the playoffs.
Right, somehow.
That's remarkable.
Right, and that like tickles the imagination of like what could it look like if you added a player like Evan Ingram to the fold, and the value of the tight end has maybe never been higher in NFL history than it is in this window of time. But like what's unfortunate is, and again, it's not doom and gloom because we still don't know where Evan Ingram is going to end up, but I have to mention this, is that you're telling me you've heard from your own sources that Mike Gesicki was the initial target for the Broncos.
They wanted Mike.
And then you don't get a deal done with Evan Ingram when he starts free agency literally in your building. That's not a good tone setter.
He pretty much falls into your lap because you have to remember Jacksonville decides to release Evan Ingram.
Right.
So you have a second chance. So it's like, okay, I want Mike Gesicki, but I may not get him. The Bengals decide to make an offer that he did not want to refuse, and now he's with the Cincinnati Bengals and he's with Joe Burrow.
Yep.
Makes sense.
So then if you swing and miss on Evan Ingram, you would think that maybe, there's a safety net for Juwan Johnson.
You would think so.
You would think, and if we don't get something ironed out with Evan Ingram, we could go the Juwan Johnson route. He knows Sean. He knows the offense. And then we find out earlier today that he is signing back with the Saints. So very quickly, I don't think it was the strongest tight end free agent class of all time anyway, but the top 3 in the class are those 3 guys. 2 of them are already, or I guess I should mention, Gesicki never actually hit free agency.
Yeah.
He circled back and did a deal with the Bengals before that. But the 3 potential targets for the Broncos, 2 of the 3 are already off the board. So it's like,
so what do you do?
What do you do?
Now someone like Evan Ingram can force their hand if he wants. It's like, hey, you guys didn't want to pay me? Because that's what it comes down to, guys. If you decide to leave the building, you fly in for 2 days and you fly out. That's because you don't get the money that you want.
Yeah, it wasn't the vision that was pitched.
No, it's like, hey, does the money make sense?
Yep.
And if Denver really wants to make things right, you probably have to pay the man his money and probably a little bit more because your options are running thin. And so now you messed up because you had a guy in the building, Zach. This is how I'm looking at it as. You had the guy in the building. You had people speculating that he was being wined and dined.
Yeah. Oh, that's been reported. That's been reported. We're not even speculating.
Okay, it was reported that he's wine and dine, but now he's not in the building anymore, and who knows if he wants to come back.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing to point to is they just couldn't come to a financial agreement. That stinks.
It's a trend, though. Like think about it. It's a small trend, even with someone like, let's just say, the punter Riley Dixon. People were out there saying that Denver made him an offer. He decided to not take the offer, and he signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Right.
Why? Because you probably didn't want to give him the money that he probably wanted. And sometimes you're going to have to bite the bullet and give a player more than what he's worth. You did it for someone like DJ Jones, correct?
Sure. Well, in my estimation, yeah. But in this case, it's like it's almost, and I definitely know what you're trying to point out with the Riley Dixon, but you can figure out the punting situation a lot easier. They've been trying to figure out tight end for years.
And special teams for years too, though.
And special teams for years, though, too, but they've been much better these last 2 years. But you're telling me the leading tight end on the Denver Broncos in 2024 caught 13 passes? That is a mind-numbing, where is the aspirin type of stat.
So what should the Denver Broncos do, Zach?
You have to do something you don't want to do. And that's pay a little bit more than you want to pay. The Broncos
have the money.
Are you willing to
do that? Would you want that? Are you okay with that?
I'd be okay paying a little bit more. What was the Gesicki deal?
3 years, $25 million.
Okay. I mean, this deal for Evan Ingram can't be that much different than the Mike Gesicki deal. It really can't. They're a very similar class or tier of tight end. So, I mean,
Well, Mike's what, 29, 30, and Evans 30,
yeah, he's 30.
31?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're right.
They're very similar. They're very similar. They're like a tier 2 tight end in the NFL. And
we can't mess around with this anymore.
No, because we talked about it. The importance of grabbing a bridge tight end to give a rookie and take a shot, because I'm going to say the tight end position is historically slow starting. So during that time, you need to address the position going into 2025. You have to get someone through free agency. And I don't feel as comfortable going further down this list and signing, say, Austin Hooper, and convincing ourselves that Austin Hooper is going to be what Evan Ingram could be here. Now, again, I don't have a crystal ball. Maybe Austin Hooper will be freaking Rob Gronkowski, but I wouldn't bet on that. And so I would overextend myself a little bit with paying Evan Ingram, knowing the importance of the tight end position in 2025, the importance of the tight end position for a soon-to-be second-year quarterback. And then considering how historically slow starting your draft pick is going to be, you need someone to bridge that gap who is not a rookie, not Adam Troutman. It's got to be someone like Evan Ingram. I think
he would fit the mold.
He would.
He would fit it perfectly and tell you, like, we're still saying go ahead and draft a tight end.
Definitely. You have to do that.
But if you have a tight end, a seasoned vet that you can put out there and be an instant impact player, that's what you're looking for as the young rookie tight end decides to develop. And if you're going for someone like Colston Loveland, he's going to be coming off of an injury already. So do you really want to mess with that? If your first-round draft pick is going to be Colston Loveland, but he's coming off an injury, you know he's not going to play right away, what are we doing with that? Usually your first-round draft pick plays and makes an impact right away. That will not be the case if we have to go with someone like Colston Loveland in the first round. But if you bring in someone like Evan Ingram to help out, that's going to help Bo out. It's going to make Bo feel more relaxed in the pocket because he has that other opportunity. He has that other weapon that he can go to when he's feeling pressured.
Yesterday was a really good day for free agency, I thought.
I agree.
I thought addressing safety and inside linebacker with a pretty heavy hand, all right, two former San Francisco 49ers, and that's great. Okay?
They improved.
They did.
Improved. The defense improved. They was top 5 this year. They could be top 5 next year with the improvement of Hufanga, who is the safety, and then Dre Greenlaw, who's a monster.
But I want the Broncos to address offense, right? And even if we agree the two biggest needs for the Broncos this year, running back and tight end, the bigger priority between those two positions in free agency is the tight end. Because a rookie running back could come in here and be the guy right away. Maybe it's a first rounder, maybe it's a second rounder, maybe it's an undrafted guy who figures it out like you did.
I'm blushing.
But every year a rookie running back will come in the league and figure it out in a hurry. And even Javonte Williams was one of those guys as a rookie.
Shout out Javonte with the Dallas Cowboys, by the way.
Good for him, man. Did not see that coming on day one of free agency. But the tight end in free agency is just, it holds a different kind of importance. So hopefully the Broncos can figure it out, man.
They can figure it out, though, man. I still think there's time, right? Just because a player leaves the building does not mean it's fully over. Maybe they're able to throw a couple more $1 million at him to have him come back. Like, baby, come back.
Yeah.
And maybe that can help out because we definitely need a tight end. I will not be surprised, Zach, if we pick up a running back as well. I'm still on the Rico Dowdle.
Dowdle, yeah.
I'm getting better at that. Rico Dowdle.
Dowdle, yep.
I think he would be a great player for us. He's not going to cost as much. He runs hard. He has the speed. He can block, and he's still a bridge player for a running back that you decide to draft in the draft this year. So and he's still out there. He's still out there.
I'm going to throw out a name. Throw out a name. I don't know if it makes sense for the Broncos, but I want to talk about it. Kyle Juszczyk.
Juice.
The long-standing fullback.
Beast.
Has been really fun to watch. Just about like as fun as a fullback can be to watch. That's who Kyle Juszczyk has been. Now he's getting up there in age. Okay, that's obvious. Okay, he is 33 years old.
As a fullback too, all you do, well, in Juice's case, he catches a lot, but usually as a fullback, you just bash your head against other defenders all day.
Yep. Does Kyle would you be interested in that at all? Just asking.
How much are we willing to give him? Because Sean still utilizes his tight ends. He utilized Michael Burton a lot last year.
A fullback.
Fullback. They could be tight ends too. Why you gotta correct me like that? No. How much are you willing to give him, Zach?
Not a lot. I mean, what's his market value? I can find out here in a second, but
say let's say $3 million, because he'll be the best fullback out there. I want to say 8 Pro Bowls.
Yeah, I mean, he stacked those things up. He continued to thrive at a position that was actually going away in the NFL.
Yeah. Great receiving threat. He can play special teams for you. So he can play like a baby joker role as a fullback in the game, where it's like, hey, he's in the game. He's not just going to block for you. He could be another weapon. So now you have to keep eyes on your fullback, your tight end, your receivers, your running backs. It just adds another weapon. But are you willing to give him something like $3 million? Because he's going to want a little bit more, knowing that this may be his last chance at a bigger contract.
Yeah, he can want more. I don't think he's going to get it. I mean, what 1 year?
1 year, $3 million. Signing bonus of like $500,000.
Sure.
Out of respect.
Sure.
You would take him.
Sure.
Over, say Michael Burton says, hey, I want to come back. 1 year, 1.5.
No, thank you.
No?
No. Someone like Kyle Juszczyk is in a different class than Michael Burton. All due respect. I guess I'd be open to it. I don't want to pay him $3 million, but he is just a damn good football player.
So what are we becoming, like the Denver San Francisco 49ers?
Kinda. You know, with what they've done.
There is a reason why the 49ers are blowing up the team. I know Brock Purdy's some of the reason, biggest reason. But like, if you're willing to give up some of your players, you feel like they're not going to make that impact they used to.
But also they need to reshape their organization.
They do.
Much like Seattle. It's like you take a look in the mirror. It's like, what are we actually doing this year? What are we trying to accomplish? And you don't like the answers to those questions, so you have to recalibrate. But you looked what the Niners have done. Like Greenlaw, gone. Chardavius Ward, gone. Hufanga, gone. Guard Aaron Banks, gone. Left tackle Jalen Moore, gone. Running back Elijah Mitchell, gone. Josh Dobbs, the backup, gone. Kyle Juszczyk, cut. Javon Hargrave, cut. Malik Collins, cut. Leonard Floyd, cut. I mean, it is.
Did you already say Deebo Samuel?
Traded. Yeah, Deebo traded. I mean,
they blew the whole team up.
They have. And
Who's next?
Honestly,
Christian?
they needed to. Honestly, it could be. And honestly, they need to ask themselves, is who Christian McCaffrey currently is right now, does he match up with our team timeline? That's why I kind of bristle at even the Kyle Juszczyk thing. As good of a player as he was, I kind of have the same energy with a guy like Kyle Juszczyk that I would have with fill-in-the-blank aging receiver that we'd be talking about.
Okay.
That I'm like, hey, even Devontae Adams. Like, does he really line up? Yeah, he's a good football player. Like, I'd like to have him. Like, but do you want to give him 2 years, $45 million like he got from the Rams? And it's just like, no, thank you.
Yeah. All right, so tell me this then. Since the San Francisco 49ers are blowing up their team, Christian McCaffrey could be out the door.
He's the ultimate joker.
So would you be willing to give up a first?
No.
Or a second for Christian McCaffrey?
Well,
he's the ultimate joker. You're not willing to what if San Fran was like, hey, look, we'll give you Christian for a first because we're just blowing this
first?
Team up.
No way. Absolutely not, because you're taking
the
on
ultimate joker.
Yeah, I know. He's your favorite. He's your favorite joker's favorite joker. Like, he's that guy. But you're taking on his contract.
Yeah,
that's why I don't think anyone would give a first round pickup for Christian McCaffrey at this point. 8 years in, with a real injury history.
Damn, man, we must be getting old. We're talking about, hey, we won't give up, some first for Christian, who
a first round
done a lot.
pick. But again, you're taking on the contract.
It's
not fantasy football, so you have to take on the deal. And it looks like he's under contract through 2027. And you're talking about paying him.
He's like, hey, he's all yours for a first. George.
No, I'm not trading first round picks. Done too much of that.
Okay, like what? Like we're keeping our first, and what are we going to draft? Colston Loveland?
I will say
who's not going to play right away?
I will say this: it does become a little bit manageable. I'm looking at his contract now. It's not as staggering as I would have thought. It's not as staggering as I would have thought.
It's just a thought, right? The San Francisco 49ers are blowing up their team. Why not ask? If it's a first and you don't like it, don't do it. But if you're willing to do it and add someone like Christian, you might as well, because you're adding everybody else from San Francisco.
I mean, you're talking about in 2027, he's got a base salary of around $17 million.
That's a lot.
It's
a lot.
It's just a lot, and a cap hit of $25 million in 2 years. So it actually looks like it balloons at the end of the contract, making it even more likely that eventually
they're going to cut ties.
They're going to cut ties here.
And as a player, you know that.
Of course.
You know that's why you try to front load your contract. But if you want to stay with the team, you restructure it and have more on the backside so that they don't try to cut you, because you have a lot of your money guaranteed on the back end of your contract as well. But once that contract is front loaded, you know those next 2 years or the last 2 years of your contract, you're liable to get cut, traded, or whatever the case may be to help that team out.
Would you give a premium draft pick for Christian?
Depends on how close you feel like we are. You picked up Greenlaw.
Yeah.
You picked up Hufanga.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to help bolster your defense. Say that you get Evan Ingram. Let's just say.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, he's still out there.
Yeah, sure.
I guess this could be a little fantasy football.
No, we're doing sports talk radio. Have what
but
we
just
do.
Because he was in the building.
Yeah.
And say that you say, I'll give a first and a fifth for Christian McCaffrey. Would that make us a contender for a Super Bowl run?
Yeah, it would.
That's crazy.
I think you'd be a Super Bowl contender. If you're telling me that a 10-win team is going to add at the tight end position and add the ultimate joker at running back and Christian McCaffrey, I mean, there's no way I would be giving up a first-round pick. I'm not giving up a first-round pick.
Look, guys, the reason we're talking about this is because the San Francisco 49ers are blowing up the team.
They are.
And at some point, Christian is going to be moved, because that's just the game. That is just how it goes. You could be the greatest player out there.
Yep.
At some point, they're going to move on for you if it makes sense from a money standpoint.
If the Colts can move on from Peyton Manning and
That's
the
true.
49ers can move on from Joe Montana, the Niners can move on from Christian McCaffrey. He's still in his 20s. I mean, he's going into his age 29 season. Hadn't really thought about that.
What are you willing to give up?
Definitely not a first-round pick.
I'm just saying, because everybody on the board, Zach, has us, and they have us taking Colston Loveland.
Yeah.
Who would you rather have? Christian McCaffrey, Colston Loveland?
Oh.
Because that's what it comes down to, if that is the case.
Am I grabbing my coaching hat or my general manager hat? Because my general manager hat, it would say Colston Loveland. He could be here for the next 10, 12 years if you hit on that first-round pick as a tight end. The way that, say, like George Kittle, who he's been to the Niners, or who Kelsey has been to the Chiefs.
If that's how it is, you keep the tight end.
But short term, and you don't know, Colston Loveland could be a mystery, right? You thought Noah Fant was going to be here for 10 years. So the here and now, Christian, I did not think we'd be going down this road.
It's a little bit fantasy football.
It's kind of fun. It's fun.
It's something that could happen.
But I'll say this, the fact that we're having these conversations, even like the random impromptu Christian McCaffrey conversation, is a testament to the position that the Broncos have put themselves in this past year by hitting on their quarterback, being a playoff team, where like this is something I wouldn't even consider this time last year. Wouldn't even consider it.
No, but you get to the playoffs, you have a 10-win season, you have a quarterback, your franchise quarterback, everything is looking good. You're looking up and saying, okay, we just need to add a couple weapons. We're looking for a joker. Could it be Evan Ingram if he decides to sign here? Hopefully it is if he does decide to sign it. If not, we have to find somebody else.
Yeah.
Could it be somebody that you trade for? And we're just saying Christian McCaffrey because the 49ers are blowing up the team.
They are.
If I'm George, do your due diligence and ask.
It's not going
to hurt you.
I'll say this. It won't take a first rounder to get Christian.
You don't think so?
No.
You think a second would do?
Yes.
A second would suffice.
I do. I believe that. And if it was that, then I think you'd have to be a part of that conversation with the understanding that they are putting a stick of dynamite to that roster. I mean, we just went through it. It's staggering, the players that they're moving
They
on.
want to pay Brock Purdy, but they want to take all of his weapons away. It's confusing. It's confusing.
Well, I'll say this. I think it's actually I think it's smart for the Niners, because for that iteration of who that team was, you came up short. And instead of gripping to the idea that this team is still a contender, be proactive, try to reshape the team instead of doing it maybe when it's